Fix the titles. Hello, everybody. This is Lou Baloo coming at you at 52 hertz. Make no mistake, this is a 52 hertz transmission. Alright, so I had to restart the stream because I didn't change the titles. There you go. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So let's continue. Let me read the last paragraph just so I can, just be able to like catch up. Then Rebekah said to Isaac, I loathe my life because of the Hittite woman. If Jacob marries one of the Hittite women like these, one of the women of the land, what good will my life be to me? Oh, this one when Esau moved. Behold, your brother Esau comforts himself about you and planning to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to Laban, my brother in Haran, and stay with him a while until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereft of you both in one day? Okay, well, maybe you shouldn't be a sneaky weasel, which is what she was. I mean, can't blame Jacob that much. I mean, I guess I can because he went along with it, but it's all Rebekah's plan. She's just pulling the string. He's like a puppet for her. Anyway, then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and directed him, you must not take a wife from the Canaanite women. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take as a wife from there one of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. Mother's brother? You mean a cousin? God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may become a company of peoples. And he give the blessing of Abraham to you and to your offspring with you, that you may take possession of the land of your sojournings that God gave to Abraham. Thus Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob and Esau's mother. Esau marries an Ishmaelite. Now Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and sent him away to Padan Aram to take a wife from there. And that as he blessed him, he directed him, you must not take a wife from the Canaanite women. And that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother and gone to Padan Aram. So when Esau saw that the Canaanite women did not please Isaac's father, Esau went to Ishmael and took as his wife, besides the wives he had, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth. Well, that would be also kind of like a cousin, huh? They should just say cousin. Maybe they didn't have the word cousin back there. Jacob's dream. Jacob left Beersheba and went towards Haran. And he came to a certain place and stayed there at that night, because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land in which you lie, I will give to you and your offspring. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you and your offspring shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Let me guess, he built an altar. So early in the morning, Jacob took a stone, I knew it. Took a stone that he had put under his head, and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. He called and named that place Bethel. But the name of the city was Luz at the first. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me and will keep me in this way, then I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace. Then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house, and all of that you give me I will give a full tenth to you. This is the birth of the tithe. Jacob marries Leah and Rachel. Then Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. As he looked, he saw a well in that field, and behold, 3 flocks of sheep lying beside it. For out of that well the flocks were watered. The stone on the well's mouth was large, and when all the flocks were gathered there, the shepherds will roll the stone from the mouth of the well, and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place over the mouth of the well. It's weird that it had pressure, enough pressure for the water to come out like that. Jacob said to them, My brothers, where do you come from? They said, We are from Haran. He said to them, Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? They said, We know him. He said to them, Is it well with him? Is it well with him? They said, It is well. And see, Rachel his daughter is coming with the sheep. He said, Behold, it is still high day. It is not time for the livestock to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go, pasture them. But they said, we cannot until all the flocks are gathered together, and the stone is rolled from the mouth of the well. Then we water the sheep. While he was still speaking then, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. Isn't it weird that, like in English, they have, I don't know. It's just, I thought shepherd was like a kind of like a neutral term. And shepherdess doesn't really roll out of the tongue. I know that in Spanish, we use vowels at the end to determine um, if the word is male or female. But des, no, it just doesn't work as well in English. Now, as soon as Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Jacob came near and rolled a stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and wept aloud. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's kinsman, and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. As soon as Laban heard the news about Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Jacob told Laban all these things, and Laban said to him, surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him a month. See, they're all related and they're all marrying each other. Then Laban said to Jacob, because you are my kinsman, do you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance. Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter Rachel. Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than I should give her to any other man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife that I may go into her, for my time is completed. So Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. But in the evening he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he went to her. Leah gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her servant. And in the morning, slave, actually. And in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And Jacob said to Laban, what is this that you have done to me? I did not serve with you for Rachel. Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Oh, wait a minute. This guy worked for Laban for 7 years and then marry or have sex with Rachel. Okay. Why then have you deceived me? Hold on, let me make sure to see what the trickery is here. But in the evening he took his daughter Jacob, and he went in to her. Oh. Okay, so Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. But in the evening he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. So basically, he just got drunk. Okay, got drunk at the feast or after the feast. Okay, and he swapped out the girls. Not sure why Rachel wouldn't make like a big ruckus about it. You know, Dad, what are you doing? Stop being weird. So he had sex with Leah. Laban said, "It is not so done in my country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other, also in return for serving me another 7 years." Ooh, that's tricky. He basically forced him to get with Leah, which he didn't like. Jacob did so and completed her week. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to his wife. Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel to be her servant, her slave. So Jacob went into Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and served Laban for another 7 years. All right, so the second 7 years he didn't have to like not have sex because girls get old and then can give healthy babies. Jacob's children. When the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son. She called his name Reuben, for she said, "Because the Lord has looked upon my affliction, for now my husband will love me." She conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Because the Lord has heard that I am hated, he has given me this son also." She called his name Simeon. Again she conceived and bore a son, and said, "Now this time my husband will be attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." Therefore his name was called Levi. And she conceived again, and bore a son, and said, "This time I will praise the Lord." Therefore she called his name Judah. Then she ceased bearing. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister. She said to Jacob, "Give me children, or I shall die." Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, "Am I in the place of God, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" Then she said, "Here is my servant Bilhah. Go into her, so that she may give birth on my behalf, that even I may have children through her." So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife, and Jacob went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Then Rachel said, "God has judged me, and has also heard my voice and given me a son." Therefore she called his name Dan. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, with mighty wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. So she called his name Naphtali. I mean, anyone consider Bilhah's opinion on the matter? It was just like, here you go. You can have sex with her. When Leah saw that she had ceased bearing children, she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Then Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Man, that's 4. And Leah said, good fortune has come. So she called his name Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. And Leah said, happy am I, for women have called me happy. So she called his name Asher. In the days of wheat harvest, Reuben went and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. But she said to her, is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Will you take away my son's mandrake also? Rachel said, then he may lie with you tonight in exchange of your son's mandrake. This is getting kind of spicy, like porn spicy. Let me read that again. I don't know what's going on. Okay. All right. Reuben went and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. Okay. But she said to her, is it small matter that you have taken away my husband? Will you take away my son's mandrakes also? How did Leah take away her husband? That's not true. Rachel said, then he may lie with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes. Oh, okay. Okay. Then he, aka Jacob, may lie with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrake. Then Jacob came from the field in the evening. Leah went out to meet him and said, you must come in to me, for I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. But hold on. That's a second wife. Can wives just like ask for sex anytime they want? I mean, and who's Rachel to gatekeep Jacob? Maybe they were having some difficulty, like he didn't want to sleep with her anymore or something, because Rachel, I don't know, was influencing him. Anyway, you must come into me, for I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. So he lay with her that night, and God listened to Leah. And she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. Joke's on Rachel then. Joke's on her. Leah said, God has given me my wages because I gave my servant to my husband. So she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and she bore Jacob a sixth son. Now this is a lot of sex. There's a lot of sex. Okay. So she called his name Zebulun. Afterward, she bore a daughter and called her Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son. Oh. And said, God has taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, saying, May the Lord add to me another son. Man, this Jacob guy is just getting a lot of sex. Jesus. As soon as Rachel had born Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, Send me away that I may go to my own home and country. As soon as Rachel had born Joseph. Okay, yeah, because this entire time they were living with Laban. Okay. Send me away that I may go to my own home and country. Give me my wives and my children from whom I have served you, that I may go. Oh, everybody was serving Laban. Nice. For you know the service that I have given you. But Laban said to him, If I have found favor in your sight, I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. Name your wages, and I will give it. Jacob said to him, You yourself know how I have served you, and how your livestock has fared with me. For you had little before I came, and it has increased abundantly, and the Lord has blessed you whenever I turned. But now, when shall I provide for my own household also? He said, What shall I give you? Jacob said, You shall not give me anything, if you will do this for me. I will again pasture your flock and keep it. Let me pass through all of your flock today, removing from it every speckled and spotted sheep and every black lamb, and the spotted and the speckled among the goats. And they shall be my wages. So my honesty will answer for me later, when you come to look into my wages with you. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and black among the lambs, I found with me shall be counted stolen. Laban said, Good, let it be as you have said. But that day Laban removed the male goats that were stripped and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted. every one that had white on it, and every lamb that was black, and put them in charge of his sons. And he set a distance of 3 days. And he set a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob pastured the rest of Laban's flock. I mean, that guy's a real bastard. Well, you know what? So Laban is playing him, using the trickery against him, right? But look what he did to his brother. Okay? He used trickery on him twice. And then now he's being played by his father-in-law. So is that some sort of lesson? Is that some sort of retribution, okay, for what he did? Would Laban still be as Weasley and slimy, okay, if Jacob wouldn't have done that? Who knows? And then after he gets tricked with Leah, he trusts the guy to do another deal with these, like spotted goats and black sheep. Then Jacob took fresh sticks of poplar and almond and plane trees, and peeled white streaks in them, exposing the white of the sticks. He set the sticks that he had peeled in front of the flocks, in the throws. I don't know what that is. That is, the watering places where the flocks came to drink. And since they bred when they came to drink, the flocks bred in front of the sticks. And so the flocks brought forth striped, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob separated the lambs and set the faces of the flocks towards the stripped and all the black in the flock of Laban. He put his own droves apart and did not put them with Laban's flock. Whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob would lay the sticks on the throws before the eyes of the flock, that they might breed among the sticks. But for the feebler of the flock, he would not lay them there. So the feebler would be Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. Thus this man increased greatly, and had great flocks, female servants, and male servants, and camels and donkeys. All right, I really don't understand how you can manipulate, the appearance of the coat of the goats by putting sticks on the ground. Not sure. There might be something to that. I don't know. So basically, so after the deal, Laban moves to trick Jacob. He is 3 days ahead of him. I guess you're doing some sort of like a nomadic thing, right? Just kind of like wandering the wilderness, pasturing the sheep, because you got to find, pasture for them. And so he's 3 days apart. So he starts doing his shenanigans, but then back from him, Jacob had his own plans to do shenanigans as well. Jacob flees from Laban. Oh shoot. Here we go. Now Jacob heard that the sons of Laban were saying, Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has gained all his wealth. And Jacob saw that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, Return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you. I mean, is he shocked? He just tried to, trick the guy. I mean, he was gonna get tricked, a second time. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah into the field where his flock was, and said to them, I see that your father does not regard me with favor as he did before. But the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength. Yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not permit him to harm me. If he said, The spotted shall be your wages, and then all the flock bore spotted, and if he said, The striped shall be your wages, then all the flock bore striped. Thus God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. In the breeding season of the flock, I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that the goats that mated with the flock were stripped, spotted, and mottled. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift up your eyes and see, all the goats that mate with the flock are striped, spotted, and mottled. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed. Oh, see, yeah, that was the rock that he used to sleep. Where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now rise, go out from this land and return to the land of your kindred. All right, so this was a deliberate move by God, because Laban was going to trick him. So all the goats and the sheep started, they started being born striped and spotted. Jacob did trick Esau. What's going to be Jacob's penance? Maybe it was a Leah trickery, Maybe that was his penance. Okay. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said, Is there any portion or inheritance left to us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has indeed devoured our money. All the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and to our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do. So Jacob arose and set his sons and his wives on camels, and he drove away all his livestock, all his property that he had gained, the livestock in his possession that he had acquired in Padan Aram, to go to the land of Canaan. to his father Isaac. Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods. Oh, so he had some god idols. And Jacob tricked Laban, the Aramean, by not telling him that he intended to flee. He fled with all that he had, and arose and crossed the Euphrates, and set his face towards the hill country of Gilead. When it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, he took his kinsmen with him, and pursued him for 7 days, and followed close after him into the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night, and said to him, Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen pitched tents in the hill country of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What have you done, that you have tricked me and driven away my daughters like captives of the sword? Why did you flee secretly and trick me, and did not tell me, so that I might have sent you away with mirth and songs, with tambourine and lyre? And why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? Now you have done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm. But the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. And now you have gone away, because you long greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force. Anyone with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of her kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours, and take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. Oh, oops. So Laban went to Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the 2 female servants, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them in a camel saddle and sat on them. Laban felt all about the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, Let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise before you, for the way of women is upon me. So he searched, but did not find the household gods. Then Jacob became angry and berated Laban. Jacob said to Laban, What is my offense? What is my sin, that you have hotly pursued me? For you have fell through all my goods, and have you found of all your household gods, of all your household goods? See it here before my kinsmen and your kinsmen, that they may decide between us two. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flocks. What was torn by wild beasts, I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. From my hand you required it, whenever stolen by day or stolen by night. By day the heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God saw my affliction and the labor of my hands and rebuked you last night. Putting his foot down. Good. And 20 years. Oof. Then Laban answered, the daughters are my daughters, and the children are my children. The flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day for these my daughters, or for their children, whom they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they are there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha. Jegar Sahadutha. But Jacob called it Galeed. Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. Therefore he named it Galeed. And Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between you and me when we are out of one another's sight. If you oppress my daughters, or if you take wives besides my daughters, although no one is with us, see, God is witness between you and me. And Laban said to Jacob, see this heap and the pillar, which I have set before you and me. This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me, to do harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us. So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. And Jacob offered a sacrifice in the hill country and called his kinsmen to eat bread. They ate bread and spent the night in the hill country. Early in the morning, Laban arose and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned home. Hey, what's up, Blue Moon? Jacob fears Esau. Oh, that's right. This entire time, Esau was just bitter. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's camp. So he called the name of the place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, instructing them, thus you shall say to my lord Esau, Thus shall your servant Jacob. I have sojourned with Laban and stayed until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flocks, male servants, and female servants, aka slaves. I have sent to tell my Lord in order that I might find favor in your sight. Oh, somebody subscribed somewhere, but I can't because my alerts are not, they're not working. Anyway, whoever was a subscribe, thank you. I can't see the alerts. I gotta fix them. They're messed up. Sorry. And thank you. Okay, I have sent to tell my Lord in order that I may find favor in your sight. Okay, all right. He just want to make sure that Esau's doesn't want to go kill him. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to your brother Esau, and he is coming to meet you, and there are 400 men with him. Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. He divided the people who were with him and the flocks and herds and camels into 2 camps, thinking if Esau comes to one camp and attacks it, then the camp that is left will escape. See, that's a good plan. How long you got? I got about 10 minutes. I'm gonna go to Genesis 16:33. You know, I'm like right here, right now. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, Return to your country and to your kindred, that I may do you good. I am not worthy of the least of all deeds of steadfast love and all the faithfulness that you have shown to your servant. For with only my staff I have crossed this Jordan, and now I have become 2 camps. Please deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. For I fear him, that he may come and attack me, the mothers with the children. But you said, I will surely do you good, and make your offspring as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered in multitude. All right, people keep on, I guess, following or something. I can't see what's happening because my alerts are not working. So apologies. This stream is a disaster. I do try, I do work on it once in a while. So, So he stayed there that night, and from what he had with him, he took a present for his brother Esau 200 female goats and 20 male goats. Okay, see? So these shepherds are like industrial scale shepherds. I mean, it's just like a massive, massive flock. Like they just like eat everything in sight. 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milking camels and their calves, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and thank you so much. Thanks. 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. These he handed over to his servants. Every drove by itself, and said to his servants, Pass on ahead of me, and put a space between drove and drove. He instructed the first, When Esau my brother meets you and asks you, To whom do you belong? Where are you going? And whose are these ahead of you? Then you shall say, They belong to your servant Jacob. They are a present sent to my lord Esau, and moreover, he is behind us. He likewise instructed the second and the third, and all who followed in the droves. You shall say the same thing to Esau when you find him. And you shall say, moreover, your servant Jacob is behind us. For he thought, I may appease him with the present that goes ahead of me. And afterwards I shall see his face. Perhaps he will accept me. So the present passed on ahead of him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. Jacob wrestles with God. The same night he arose and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and everything else that he had. And Jacob was left alone. And a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched his hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, Let me go, for the day has broken. But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And he said to him, What is your name? And he said, Jacob. Then he said, Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. For you have striven with God and with men, and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked him, Please tell me your name. But he said, Why is it that you ask my name? And there he blessed him. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, saying, For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered. The sun arose upon, and he passed Peniel, limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the people of Israel did not eat the sinew of the thigh that is on the hip socket, because it touched the socket of Jacob's hip on the sinew of the thigh. Good to know. Jacob meets Esau. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the 2 female servants, and he put the servants with their children in front, and then Leah with her children, and Rachel and Joseph last of all. He himself went on before them, bowing himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And when Esau lifted up his eyes and saw the women and children, he said, Who are these with you? Jacob said, The children whom God has graciously given your servant. Then the servants drew near, they and their children, and bowed down. Leah likewise and her children drew near, and bowed down. And last Joseph and Rachel drew near, and they bowed down. Esau said, What do you mean by all this company that I've met? Jacob answered, To find favor in the sight of my Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. Jacob said, No, please, I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand. For I have seen your face, which is like seeing the face of God, and you have accepted me. Please accept my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. Thus he urged him and took it. Then Esau said, "Let us journey on our way, and I will go ahead of you." But Jacob said to him, "Let us journey on our way, and I will go ahead of you." Okay. "My Lord knows that the children are frail, and that the nursing flocks and herds are a care to me. If they're driving hard for one day, all the flocks will die. Let my Lord pass on ahead of his servant, and I will lead on slowly at the pace of the livestock that are ahead of me, and at the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord's in Seir." Right, because Esau has a bunch of, I guess, soldiers, you know, and Jacob has a bunch of like animals and kids. So Esau said, "Let me leave with you some of the people who are with me." But he said, "What need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned the day to his way to Seir, but Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built himself a house and made booths for his livestock. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth. And Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is the land of Canaan, on his way from Padam Aram. And he camped before the city, and from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought 100 pieces of money, the piece of land in which he had pitched his tent. There he erected an altar and called it El Elohe Israel. Okay. Well, I know it was messed up what he did back then, but it's been like 20 years. He was scammed. He was like counter scammed by his father-in-law. And so now he kind of felt, he now knows kind of like what it felt, right? What it felt to be tricked out of what's rightfully yours. And you know, I don't know, lesson learned. Let's let water be, you know, just let water be under the bridge and just move on, you know. You know, I personally think that there should be consequences for people that do you wrong, okay? But there has to be a limit, right? It should not be used as a blank check or an excuse to do like whatever you want. So, but anyway, okay, Blue Moon says, "I told my cuz to follow you, that's why you got all of them notification." Oh, thank you so much, Blue Moon. I appreciate it. However, you gotta remember that I'm not a cloud chaser. Okay, so I only want people to follow or subscribe that are going to enjoy the content. Okay, so you know, let him know. Oh, if you know, if you're not into like what he makes, he said it was fine. You know, just unsubscribe. It's no big deal. Okay, because I only want just homies that I click with. See what I'm saying? So, but yeah, you know, it's more of a quality over quantity strategy. So anyway, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. Anyway, this concludes this Sunday's Bible reading. Man, that Jacob stuff that got spicy. Okay, that got like pornographic fast. Okay, you know, he had like 4 women, and he's just like boinging them all, and the women are negotiating. It's like, oh, you sleep with them, and I'll sleep with them, and this and that. Yeah. But you know, But towards the end, yeah, it's good that they just water under the bridge. He gave him basically his own flock. Okay, his own like industrial size flock. Okay, so I'm not what Jacob lost or what Esau lost, but that should make up for it. And I know that there's the factor of disrespect, okay, which you really can't pay with money. But if somebody, especially if somebody was victim to the same thing that disrespected you by somebody else that were victim, kind of like you were, I think that's much easier to forgive. It's like, oh, you played me, but oh, you got played for 20 years? You got played for 20 years, and then now you're making it up by giving me like my own flock. Okay, all right, let's bury the hatchet, and that's it. They seen you live stream because I went to my cuz, you were streaming, and I watched it on my phone, and we're just starting to watch you. Okay, cool. Thank you, Blue Moon. Appreciate it. Anyway, so good call for Esau for doing that. Good stuff. I mean, so far, right? So far, I'm not sure if later on Esau's gonna get all petty, about it. But in my opinion, okay, Jacob played Esau, and then he got played by his father-in-law Laban for 20 freaking years. Okay, he got played. Well, technically, the first 7 years, he didn't get played. The first 7 years, was straight up. But then on the farewell feast, he swapped out the girls and forced them to marry Leah. So basically, let's see, 7 plus 6 is 13. Okay, so he got played for 13 years. I think that's more than enough of what he deserves. So there's no need for Esau to enact any sort of revenge because he already got what was coming, and he suffered for it. So that is my opinion on it. I'm not a scholar or anything like that. Just random guy on the internet. Anyway, all right, guys. So yeah, that's it for streams for today. I will stream tomorrow. I'm streaming early in the morning. I wanted to make it like 6 to 3, 6 to 10, something like that. Anyway, thank you everybody for just showing up on this Bible reading. And don't forget to take care of your business, and I'll see you next time. And thank you to whoever did that. Follow, donate, I don't know, something. I will actually, right after the stream, I'll get on these alerts. Okay, I'm going to be working on the channel and fixing some stuff. Anyway, thank you so much. Have a great Sunday. And like I said, don't forget to take care of your business, and I'll see you